Hello, everybody. Thank you very much for tuning in from everyone here at the Aquarium Project. We really appreciate the support that we've been getting on the YouTube and Facebook and Instagram and Reddit and all that good stuff. So I just wanted to take a little second to say thank you to you all. If you're new around here, please make sure to subscribe. Please make sure to like the video, all that good stuff. Share it with your friends. But aside from that, let's get into the main topic for today's video. So this stuff here is going to be the main thing that we're going to be talking about today. This little green floating thing on the top of the water here, and that is what we call duckweed. So duckweed has a bit of a troubled sort of relationship with the hobby, I guess. It's one of those ones where people either love it or they absolutely despise it. No one really has a sort of neutral opinion of the stuff. I don't think there's... It's one of those ones that people hate it all the time or they want it in every tank, and I think it does a bit of a disservice to the plant. I think it's a cool plant that a lot of people would get a lot out of, but maybe isn't suitable for every sort of situation. If you're new, what we're going to do is I'm going to walk around. I'll show you stuff when I need to, like to show you what I'm talking about, but aside from that, I'll just show you around the fish and dry goods and stuff. Just around the shop for a bit of extra visual stimulation. But yeah, that's basically what we're going to be doing. So basically duckweed is this little plant, right, that we've already discussed. And what it does is, so it'll be these like little leaves. And then what it'll do is it will like replicate in the similar way to, like, if anyone's done any science, like mitosis. Like it kind of expands, then as it like grows an extra leaf, and then it splits off, and it kind of replicates like that. The thing with it is it grows really, really fast. So what I will do is, like, for example, in like this tank here. No, actually that might not be the best. Hold on, I'll take you over here. This one will be much easier to show you guys what's going on. This one here, I'll leave this much duckweed each time I clear it out. And I'd expect this to kind of cover the entire surface of the tank within about 2 weeks. And then the maintenance that I do is I scoop it out when it gets too much, and then keep a lot of African cichlids. We have goldfish, we have apple snails, we have all sorts of stuff that will eat plants. So I'll just chuck handfuls in there, and then they'll just eat it. Sometimes it will, sometimes it won't, but it kind of gets rid of it in a natural way. It is pretty much the most easy plant to grow. What it does is, it's on the top of the water, it will like kind of spread more than grow. And so the way I like to think about it is that it like almost replicates. And when it does get going, it will go really fast, like really, really fast, the way it grows. And I think that's the main reason why a lot of people won't like it, is because it kind of can take over. But I don't think it's too bad, in the sense that it's relatively easy to manage. This kind of growth speed of the bits of duckweed. If it is getting too bad, like what I said, is just grab like a handful, or like even like a net or something, and just scoop it out. If you've got like African cichlids or goldfish, or you make rapashi or something, like you can mix it in rapashi, but those kind of things you can pretty easily like get rid of it. But even if you don't, just like, you know, any sort of like green waste, like you can chuck it in a compost bin, or like you know, just flush it down the toilet or whatever. You can relatively easily get rid of it. So I really wouldn't like stress about it sort of taking over in the way that a lot of people like to think about it. It grows fast, but it's easier to manage. The thing I would say about it is, it can limit light. So like if you've got a tank that has say you're doing like a high-tech planted tank, or like a real powerful light and like heaps of fertilizer and all this kind of thing, it will probably like choke off a lot of the light, and you'll find it'll be a bit harder to balance your aquarium in terms of like the fertilizers and stuff for the plants. So that kind of situation, it might not be the best option maybe. But for like a general like sort of more casual fish or plant keeper, like a more average hobbyist, for anything, you keep tangyukins, you keep a nice little planted community tank, you keep whatever, I think it is quite a good option. it is one that like literally everyone can grow it. You're not gonna have any trouble growing it whatsoever. I really think it would be a good option for that sort of situation, particularly for in a breeding tank. Because the other good thing that I think often gets forgotten about it is the same as any plant. As it grows, it is essentially going to use the nutrients in the water, excess nutrients like your nitrates and that, as fertilizer. Like that's the best way to think of it. It uses it as a fertilizer. So then what it does is as it grows, it's sucking out all the fish poo and like excess waste in that, and kind of keeping the water more clean. So particularly if you're in a situation like a breeding, you've got a breeding tank, for example, of say you're breeding Corydoras, just a bunch of duckweed in there. It's not a substitute for water changes, but it will definitely help just keep the water extra clean so that you can kind of get the most out of it. I think that is a really good sort of side benefit of it, in that it will help. It's never going to do any harm. It's not like dangerous for the tank or dangerous for the fish or whatever. Like that question gets asked a wee bit, but it isn't going to cause any trouble in that sense. So what it would do is add to the. If we think about your aquarium as like a general environment, it is going to add to the whole environment and the entire health of the aquarium. You'll still want to do water changes. I don't want that to get misunderstood, but it'll definitely help. So yeah, the other question is, so there's two parts. One part is like, if you want to get rid of it, like you've had it, you liked it, but it's done its dash and you're no longer a fan. Or if you're one of the people who just absolutely hates the stuff and you just want to get rid of it and you don't like it, you don't like the aesthetics of it, it clogs up your plants, all this kind of thing. How do we get rid of it? Because one of the things that often happens is it's kind of the impression of like once it's in the tank, you're never going to get rid of it. Like it'll be stuck. So there is a few methods, I'm going to say. Method number one is there's a lot of fish that will eat it. So it'll depend what your tank is like, whether you have one of these options on the table for you or not, but there is lots of fish that will eat it. So things like goldfish, mbuna, apple snails are a good one. What else? Tropheus in a lesser degree will. Even stuff like severums, waru, like there's plenty of bigger options that'll eat it. Obviously you'll have to be careful if your tank is suitable or not, but if it is, that might be an option. Otherwise, I find the best way to get rid of it is just to have heaps of flow going around on the top of the aquarium. So like you'll want to manually remove, the main bits, but then if you have heaps of flow, that is going to basically kill it. It won't be able to deal with it. Duckweed likes really still sort of tops of the water. I will show you this tank. So this tank used to have tons of duckweed, but that has since gone. So I do have a skimmer here, which a lot of people will look at it and be like, oh yeah, it's just skimmed it off the top. But I had to get rid of it because I wanted to use the skimmer essentially. So just chuck the skimmer on straight away, it would have got blocked in like 5 seconds. So I wanted to get rid of it before I added the skimmer. So I'll show you. So I have where I have the filter outlet, it shoots out straight across the top of the water, as you can see. And then I also had a little pump along the top, like that would, oh no, it was in this corner, and it would shoot out across this way. And it would, there was just, the tank itself probably didn't have much flow, but all the flow was concentrated on the top of the water. So it was just blowing it around and the duckweed couldn't survive. So like the bits, like I caught the main bits out with I think I just used my hand, but I might have used a net. Main bits out, and then we just had the little bits kind of die off. There's no fish in that tank that's going to eat them, but as you can see here, like this is how it's supposed to look, just like really still settled on the top of the water. It is, otherwise you can use the Eheim skimmer, which I can show you just here, which is just basically like a little pump that sucks water off the top like this. So that's it there. It sucks water out in the top and shoots it out the middle. So you can use that, or you can just use an outlet for a canister filter, inlet skimmer, or there's a few other different options. Like, you can use one of those, you can use the manual remover and just like pick out every single little bit, but there is plenty of options to get rid of it. It's not like a lot of people will describe it, I think I mentioned before, a lot of people describe it as something that once it's in the aquarium, it's never getting rid of, but I don't think that's the case. I've had good success getting rid of it in situations where I want. But I mean, at the end of the day, I think it is a really good option. You'll get a lot of like those side benefits of like sucking out the nutrient levels, sucking out the excess nutrients. Another thing I didn't talk about is if you're getting algae growth, it's often like too much algae growth. It's often a good idea because number one, it will block some of the light on the surface, so then it's like limiting your light without you having to meddle with the light. And then number two is as it grows faster, it sucks out nutrients. So if you've got too much algae, like, you know, you're getting, you know, some green hair algae growing in the tank, it might be a good option for that. So it helps in that sense. It gives the fish some cover. It looks cool, like, because I have duckweed in pretty much all of my tanks, and all the time people coming in like, man, that looks so cool, I love it. And it's one of those ones, I think it's a little bit of a, goes back to that elitist thing where, like, you know, too serious, well, like, fish people who take themselves very seriously, just like, oh, you can't have duckweed, that's only, you know, beginners or losers or whatever, which I don't think is the case. But there's heaps of benefits and not that many negatives. Like, some people don't like the look, which is fine, that's subjective. And if you do decide like 6 months down the line you change your mind and you want to get rid of it, it's very doable, it's not impossible. But yeah, I mean, I think it's a really good addition to any tank. I really like it. It's an easy one for people to grow. You're not going to have any trouble or anything like that. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of the main thing I wanted to talk about today. I hope you guys have enjoyed today's video. I hope you've got some value out of it. I mean, if you want duckweed, I mean, I have tons. Otherwise, you can usually get it from like other hobbyists and stuff for free. But yeah, I mean, I hope you've enjoyed today's video, and I hope it maybe provides a different way of thinking about actually a really cool plant. So yeah, thank you guys very much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you haven't already, make sure to like and subscribe and all that good stuff. But I love you all, and I'll catch you in the next one. See ya.